Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites. You see, here at Comicstorian, we then take your favorite comic books, we add in some voices, we add in some music, and we give you an epic tale. One for the ages. And it allows you to understand what's happening in your current comic books so that you can go out and buy the next issues or go pick them up at a digital retailer and stuff like that. Today we're going to be continuing our storyline of Aquaman Underworld, which basically was, long story short, where we are right now. Aquaman was thought to be dead. He was living in the Third Triad, which was like beneath everything. They were like the slums of Atlantis. The slums then wanted to build up a rebellion to get rid of the current king, Coram, and we then discovered that Mera had to use all of her powers to break through Coram barrier. She got through, found Aquaman in the slums, but then all of her powers were gone and she couldn't breathe underwater. She then went to the surface to heal up and get her powers back, and she was announced the new Queen of Atlantis once Aquaman removes Coram from the throne. Now we're doing the second part of Mera. She's been on the surface, and in order to go back and be the Queen of Atlantis and bring additional support to Aquaman, she has decided to go all the way back to her people and try to get them to help her. But keep in mind, she's practically in exile. There. Recap done. Enjoy the story, and the playlist of the rest of those will be down below.
When we last left off, they had entered into Zebel, only for Orm to realize that he wasn't about to get a warm welcome, as Nereus wasn't happy that his traitor wife had returned. A short while later, in the Zebelian arena known as the Stand, a giant Octodon crawls towards Mera, and Orm yells, "This is ridiculous! Ritual combat to even speak to the damned king?" Mera tells him that she already told him once before that this is Zebelian custom, to gain the right of audience with the king. From his seat, Nereus shouts, "Orm Marius, fallen king of cursed Atlantis! Mera, the treasonous renegade, you must prove yourselves in the rite of supplication. Let the rite commence!" As he finishes, the massive Octodon rushes forward, and Mera tells Orm to just make sure to avoid the limbs and aim for the brain sack. Orm calls out that he has hunted Octodon before, woman. "Don't you tell me how to!" But before he could finish, the Octodon lashes out, throwing him into a pile of debris. Mera yells that she said, "Avoid the limbs!" As the Octodon grabs onto Mera, Nereus sits up, asking Mera's grandmother, Lamia, that he trusts this beast of hers hasn't been fed. Lamia tells her that she hasn't fed it in weeks. And Laron laughs, stating, "My money is still on, Lady Mera." Mera manages to free herself, but before she could fully use her powers, the Octodon reaches back out, wrapping its tentacle around her, squeezing the last bit of air out. And Mera calls out to Orm, and Orm swims up, throwing his trident through the brain sack, telling Mera, "Calm down." As the Octodon falls, Mera begins to tell Orm nice work, but Orm shouts, "Nereus of Zebel! Your game is over. You will give us an audience now, you primitive barbarian. We have proven ourselves according to your heathen ritual." Mera says that isn't how she would have put it, but Orm is right. It's time to talk. So a short while later in the Zebel throne room, that many would have considered more of a war room for a war chief, Nereus says that he knows of the civil war in Atlantis. Coram took the throne, and now there is dissent at his rule. That's why they've come here, isn't it? The Atlantean outcast and the turncoat princess come to plead for support in their war against King Wrath. Mera tells him that Wrath is a tyrant, a threat to Zebel. This crisis breeds unlikely alliances. Orm and herself, for example. Coram reign of terror affects them all. Nereus asks, "Is that so? There's always been bad blood between us and Atlantis. We survived by staying out of each other's business." Mera continues to state that Wrath is not like previous Atlantean kings. He has imperial dreams. Nereus clutches his fist, shouting, "Then we will fight hard!" And Orm yells, telling him, "You will and you will lose." If Zebel commits its forces now while Wrath is consolidating his power, there is a chance to unseat him. Nereus looks at Laron, asking, what does he think of this? These fools think that Zebel's going to fight for Atlantis? Mera tells him yes, but they won't be laughing when King Wrath's legions wipe Zebel from the ocean bed. If they side with the Atlantean rebels, they will be protecting themselves. The tyrant Wrath will doom the whole world if he's not stopped. Nereus says, "All right. And then the next king of Atlantis will become a threat, and then the next, and then the next. History repeats itself. That if the half-breed Aquaman becomes king again, things won't change." Mera says, "My husband has no intention of retaking the throne." Nereus gets up. "Husband? There was a time when you would have been my queen. I would have made you happy. If you had just done your part and assassinated the air breather, Atlantis would have been at our mercy, but no. Instead, you had to fall in love with him, and..." Mera stops him, stating, "You didn't love me and I didn't love you. Us together would have been a miserable match. New possibilities face us now. Nereus walks back to his throne asking, "And who would the new ruler be if not Wrath?" Mera and Orm wait for a moment, and then Mera tells him, "I will be. I've already been declared queen in exile. And as queen, I promise that if you stand with me, Zebel will have the gratitude and friendship of a Zebel-born Atlantean monarch." Nereus stares, and Orm tells him, "Yes, it took me a moment to process it as well." Laron leans in stating, "Great gods of the deep, I am so very proud of you." Mera goes on stating that she was sent all those years ago to end the war with Atlantis. She didn't end it the way that they wanted, but with this, they can do so by other means. Nereus storms out of the throne room shouting, No, the whole damn world's gone mad." Mera sighs, stating that she knew he wouldn't be happy, but Laron stops her, stating that he's just upset that she's outdone him. Queen of Atlantis? The king needs some time to cool down so he can see the good that can come of this. Stay here while I go and talk some sense into him. As Laron leaves, Mera says that she thinks it's going to be all right, and Orm tells her, "Right. Things are going swimmingly." A short while later, the sound of metal hitting metal can be heard as the forces of Zebel train while Nereus and Orm watch. Orm says, "You must see the sense in all of this. A chance like this only comes once in 1,000 years. We have a chance to protect and secure Zebel and form a solid alliance with the future ruler of Atlantis." Nereus asks, "Siding with rebels, what if Wrath wins? Zebel would assuredly be targeted next." Orm tells him, "No, the rebels will win. But if Wrath prevails, it will be the rest of the world that gets burned down, not just Zebel." One of the soldiers strikes another, and then he looks up at Nereus, and Nereus gives him the thumbs down. The soldier stabs the man in the chest, and Nereus asks, "Do you miss it? Do you miss how the power feels?" And Orm silently watches the soldiers continue to train. Later that night at Nereus' throne room, a shadowy person says that this is a chance to make gains. It could secure the future of Zebel forever, the removal of Wrath, and neutering of Atlantis, all in one go. Nereus tells that person that Mera will resist, and the person asks why does he care. Nereus says that they need an unbreakable bond of blood. He's already under Orm's skin. "Are you prepared to deal with Mera?" Lamia walks out stating, "Of course, my lord king." She's delivered to us the means of achieving a great and last victory. It's time her granddaughter was properly punished for turning her back on Zebel. The next morning, Nereus sits for breakfast when he sees Orm walk in, and he asks, "Won't you sit with me for a meal?" Orm tells him that he has his appreciation, but has he given thought to their proposal? Nereus takes a bite of his food, stating, straight to the point, huh? There's still a king in you somewhere. We need more men like you. You understand the complexities of the throne. You know how to make the hard choices. Yes, I've given some thought to aiding the rebels, but there are certain conditions that must be ironed out first." Orm asks, what does he mean? And Nereus says that you are asking me to side with an old enemy, with a traitor of our kingdom. There are opportunities here, one that we have not even considered. Allow me to explain. Later, as Mera spends time with Laron, Orm interrupts the conversation, stating that it is time. Nereus is ready to announce his decision. Mera swims up, stating that she has got a good feeling about this. They've accomplished something together. She's glad he came with her. Who would have imagined her saying that? And Orm tells her that he will always serve Atlantis. It's been a pleasure to act on the same side as her for once. Soon, everyone gathers in the throne room, and Nereus announces that by his royal decree, the armies of Zebel will commit against the tyrant Wrath. They will fight to protect Atlantis and their future. Mera smiles, stating that she's glad to hear it. It is a wise choice that he will not, but he stops her. "There is one condition." Mera sighs, stating, "There it is." He goes on stating, "The armies of Zebel cannot be seen to follow a traitor. Orm must be the commander who leads them to war." Mera looks at Orm. "Did you know about this?" And Orm tells her, "I suspected that he would have specific demands." She thinks about it, knowing that Nereus is trying to save face, and says, "Very well. Orm can have field command in the fight to secure my throne." Lamia tells her, "You misunderstand. Zebel will commit, provided that it is to restore Orm as the king of Atlantis." Mera tells them that they know that that's not possible. "I am queen now." Nereus stands up from his throne asking, "Do you not accept these terms, even as the fate of your beloved Atlantis hangs in the balance?" In the back of her mind, she thinks that maybe this could be good. She never asked to be queen. She could be free. Her and Arthur could be free from the power, the rule, and the duty. But for all that has changed, Orm still remains too dangerous to wear the crown. Mera says that to have a Zebel born on the throne of Atlantis will secure lasting peace between the warring kingdoms. But Lamia stops her, stating, "You mistake this for a negotiation. Orm is a better choice and offers far more security for the future than you." Mera pauses for a moment and then turns to Orm. You struck the deal with them. Was this about the throne all along? Orm tells her, I was only thinking of Atlantis. It's the only way to bring Zebel into the fight on our side. And Mera asks him, what of Eren? What of Tommy? The life that he loved. They're waiting for him to return. Is he just going to forget them? Orm says that he will never forget them, but this is more important than them, or me, and it is my duty. Mera begins to shout to Nereus that he knows full well that Orm is a dangerous man. How could he possibly offer them a more certain future as king? Nereus tells her, through blood, of course. Lamia smiles, stating that if the king of Atlantis is tied to the king of Zebel through a direct blood link, then peace is guaranteed. A bond between the families. Mera looks back at Orm, stating he didn't. Nereus goes on, stating, Orm is here to be my brother king, and my brother-in-law. Just then, 2 guards walk in holding Tula, and she shouts, asking, what the hell is going on? Mera yells at Orm, asking, you're gonna marry off your sister by force? You're so desperate for power that you would sacrifice Tula for it? Your own sister! She lunges forward, punching Orm, but Orm gets ready to attack, with Nereus slamming his sword down, stating, that will be enough. Tradition forbids violence in the throne room. Mera, step away from the Atlantean king in exile. Mera shouts that Orm will not treat Tula like a pawn. Zebel will not get to decide who the next ruler of Atlantis is. Nereus tells her that she is a traitor with no position to argue. Guards control her. She may be a fine warrior, but she cannot take all of Zebel and win. She gets ready to say something back, but holds her tongue, stating that he is right. She can't. But she can fight for the throne, and as per Zebelian tradition, she demands trial by combat. Nereus tells her that that is absurd, but Lamia whispers to him that it is law. They cannot deny it. So Nereus then says, very well, by my royal decree, let combat decide. Tula yells to Mera that she can't. She's not strong enough yet. And Mera looks at Orm and tells him, I challenge you for the throne of Atlantis in single combat. Do you accept? Orm hesitates for a second and then tells her, yes, I accept. Later at the Strand Arena, the final preparations for Mera's fight begins, and Liron asks, are you ready? Do you want my lance? She tells him no, and Liron yells, but he will have a damn weapon. She says yes, he is the ocean master. His trident channels the wrath of storms. A lance isn't going to help. As the iron bars begin to rise, Liron says, just make sure that you win, and make it a good finish. Give them a show. She walks out telling him that there is no if. She stands before Orm and the crowds begin to surround and chant, Orm! 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 Once the crowds die down, Nereus stands and tells the people, hear the call of your king. We've assembled according to the tradition to witness the ritual trial by combat. The combatants will fight for the throne of our great rival nation, Atlantis. Let this, my will, be enacted. Orm Marius, of the royal Atlantean blood, his challenger, Mera, daughter of Zebel, to the victor, the crown, to the loser, death. The crowds cheer, and Mera tells Orm that it is not too late, he can back out. This doesn't have to happen. And he yells that it must. It is my destiny, and only you stand in my way. I am honor bound to protect Atlantis. Mera asks what of his sister's life. He's also forgetting the love and the family that he left up above. How is he protecting them? He grips his trident, and he says nothing from the surface matters. Not when Atlantis needs me. Before the two could go on, Nereus yells, enough, let the fight commence. Orm quickly hurls a bolt of lightning, which Mera evades, leaping in to punch Orm. She punches him over and over, telling him, people are nothing but pawns to you, tokens in your power games. Your toxic self-regard is why you will never be the king that Atlantis needs. Orm hits her back, knocking her down, shouting, you are not worthy of the throne. Let this be the end of you. He stabs down with his trident, and Mera rolls out of the way, but at the last second, she blasts Orm back into a pile of shipwrecked debris. From the stands, Lamia says that Mera is holding her own, and Nereus tells her, don't worry, the odds are stacked against her. I borrowed some of her water worms. The water worms lash out trying to bite at Mera, and with her distracted, Orm fires another bolt of lightning. As the dust settles, Orm asks, are you slain or just wounded and hiding? Show yourself! From behind the rubble, Mera throws out parts of the shipwreck at Orm, and Orm releases all of his power, tearing through and asking, is this your best? I am the Ocean Master. I will bury you where you stand. All of the metal begins to come down on Mera, and it's at this moment that she realizes something. She isn't strong enough. But that ends now. For far too long, she has borne the burdens of others. She never wanted any of this. Her training in Zebel taught her to be strong. Her life on the surface is a testament to that. It was never about wanting anything. It was about being something. Not a pawn, but instead a queen. She rips through the debris, using her power to control the water that is filling Orm's lungs. She tells him that he may command the ocean and the storm, but she commands the water itself, and she can stop the water from moving in his body. She has control over his very life. She can stop his breathing and trigger a stroke. Orm struggles to breathe, reaching for his trident, but before he can grab it, Mera summons it to her side. She holds the trident to Orm's throat, telling him, "Kneel before your queen!" The crowds all cheer for Mera, and the guards quickly move in to capture Orm. He says, "Wait, I'm the Ocean Master. If she will not kill me, allow me to return to the surface with Aaron and Tommy." Mera asks, "Now you remember their names? You gave up that life when you challenged me for the throne, and you will now remain a prisoner of Atlantis. A man only gets so many second chances, Orm." She swims back to Nereus with Orm's trident in hand, telling him that she demands that he abide by the terms of this ritual. Recognize her authority and release Tula. Nereus raises his hand, telling the guards to free Tula, and Mera goes on asking, "And the rest?" Nereus tells her, "I refuse to acknowledge the validness of this farce." And Mera says that he will prepare the war host. As Nereus begins to say no, Liron whispers to him that it is tradition and he must abide. The people will turn on him if he begins to break the codes, remember that. Nereus sighs, stating, "Damn it to hell. The Zebul host is at your bidding, your majesty." Lamia tells Mera not to worry. He is angry, but bound by his word. Though it hasn't worked out the way he wanted, Zebul will aid Atlantis. Liron asks Lamia did she manipulate this, and Lamia smiles, stating only if her granddaughter proved strong enough, and to her surprise, she has. Tula hugs Mera, and Mera tells her that she is happy to see her safe, but there is one thing that she must do. Later, at the surface, Tula walks out of the water, and Aaron and Tommy both run towards her. Aaron stops and asks, "Where is Orm?" And Tula tells her that she knows she said Orm would be coming back, but she was wrong. Back in the Zebul throne room, Nereus tells Mera that the preparations are complete. She may take the Zebul host to war, though he will not be a part of it. Mera says that she will march upon Coamrath. The true queen of Atlantis is returning. She will claim her throne, she will cast out the tyrant, and all of the oceans of the world will tremble. I hope you're ready, dear listeners, for the final battle.
And there you have it. Mera has gotten the aid that she needs. But now it's time for the final battle. It is time for Aquaman to fight Coamrath, and we'll be bringing you the Kingslayer storyline next week. Make sure you subscribe to the Comicstorian channel to get more complete stories just like this, about heroes from Aquaman to Batman to Deadpool to Spider-Man, even some indie books like Skyward, and we also cover things like telling you what happened in the latest movies, TV shows, and one of my personal favorite passion projects, video games. We talk about those as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date in your favorite pop culture lore, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.